Whenever someone hears about how much money I've made, they go, no way. They don't believe it, because most people our age have made no money to very little. And it's a nice feeling to have. And the beauty of it is that it's not that hard to make that much money. All you need is a plan, and the way that I landed on mine mattered most on what I had. This is the graph that I made. Here, I'll pop it up right here. It's a pretty sweet graph that I made. I'm pretty happy with it, and it has the numbers at the top, and then it has the 3 categories that are going to essentially help you find what you should do. So jumping straight into it, based on who you know, you either want to start your own business, start one with someone, or just start working for someone else, which is what I did. But not because I knew people in high places, but for the other 2 reasons that we'll go over in a little bit too. Do work where you're paid for the actual work and the outputs that you get over just the time that you put in, because the greatest skills are sales, marketing, and offer creation. So if you are going to get a job, get one in one of those 3. And if you do know people in high places, these are one of the 3 jobs that you want to get into, because learning is very important, like you'll see in the next one. But if you know no one, but you have some skills around the basics of those 3 that we went over, it's going to make a lot more sense for you to go into business for yourself, essentially running a one-man show. Because it's a lot better to go into business for yourself, learning through actual experience, than working for someone else in some dead-end job where you have no chance of learning or growing in it. Now for me, I've never worked alone in business. Ever since I started it, I found one friend and we scaled that thing together. And then, well, not together because eventually he got fired, but then I just kept on growing from there. So maybe don't start it on your own, but start it with someone else who can do some of the work with you. And quick tip, you don't need a bunch of people in your business for it to be making a bunch of money. That was the approach I had last year, kind of having a big army to go into battle with. Not actually battle, but like making money. And this year it's more of less of an army and more of a special forces type of thing. Because it's not the inputs that matter, it's the outputs that you get that matter. Now with the skills thing, hopefully you know some skills, because what you know can literally be the differentiator between you being a bum and you being a multi-billionaire. If you know a lot, then you're set up. If you know nothing, then you have a really big runway to take off from. And essentially when I started out, I knew nothing. I couldn't start a business because I didn't know anything about anything, so I ended up working for someone else. The greatest thing is what you know. I cannot stress this enough. The biggest difference between us and someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos is the same differentiator between us and the biggest retard, the biggest idiots we know. So always focus on learning more, whether that's through actual experience, learning from a mentor, or just watching videos like this one or reading too. Especially the business route, mentors are very, very important to have. And similar to the last one, say you know a little bit about business, but you have a friend that also knows a little bit about business too. That would probably be the best person to go into business with. Because the thing is, the more of the pie that you can give up, essentially how much, I don't even know what I'm doing. Say this is the pie. Say you go 50-50 with someone who knows the other skills that you don't, or who can take on more work that you can't. It makes more sense to give 50% of a watermelon to them than to keep 100% of a grape for yourself. Because the greatest thing that let me scale in my business too was the people that we worked with. The more people you have helping you, the better, but only to a degree. Don't just hire because it sounds cool. Hire because it makes sense. And if you have no skills but you want to get into one of those roles, about the top 3 that we talked about, the best way to go about it is DM some people in your city who you know are selling things that you can essentially be the middleman for them. The thing that makes the most money is being the middleman between the consumer and the business. That's why sales is so great. That's also why banks make so much money, especially on mortgages. On this side is the home, on this side is you. You want to buy the home, but you can't afford to buy it in cash. So the bank is here as the middleman, and they take a bunch of money in interest. So they're the middleman in here, and they're the biggest winners out of this entire transaction. That was how someone in our community, our Discord server, landed their job in sales. They started DMing people and just going balls to the walls with how much communication they did. So that's probably a really good way to go about it, because not as many people are doing it. So if you're really serious about making the money and getting into those roles, really try and get in front of these people any way you can, whether that's again by DMing them or by just going in there, giving your resume, or sending them in online. And really quick, if you've been enjoying the video so far, like you've got some value out of it, if you could please subscribe, that'd literally mean the world to me. Right now the goal is 1,000 before the summer ends, so if you could help out with that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. And lastly, money is a big factor of this. How much money do you have? Are you broke? Do you have a little bit of money because you worked over the summer, or because you're working part-time right now? Or maybe you're super, super rich like me. Or are your parents super, super loaded? If you have no money, it makes a lot more sense to work for someone else, because the beauty of that is you get to learn via the experience that they give you at the job, while also essentially getting paid to learn, which is probably the greatest cheat ever. And if you're someone with some money, like a few grand saved up from either a previous summer job, or you were working part-time during school, or maybe you're out of school and you've been working and you have some money saved up, the best thing to do, and what I did, is provide a service where you can afford the startup cost, because that's going to let you directly experience what it's like working with customers, which is very, very important in business. That's essentially how you make all the money, sales and being able to communicate well with the custies. And even if you have a lot of money, it makes a lot more sense to still go into business for yourself. But at this point, start outsourcing some of the things, like start paying some people some salaries. Maybe you don't have to give anyone a piece of the pie because you can just afford to give them the salaries. Whereas with me, the reason I gave up some of the parts of the pie is because, of course, I couldn't really afford any salaries at the time either, but I still think that's the smartest way to go about it. Give people a share in the business. It's going to motivate them a lot more too. But that's also going to let you deal with customer service, and especially dealing with employees too, which are both very, very important skills that you're going to want in the future when you start your next business or when you start scaling up even more. Like if you're younger, it does make a lot more sense to start asking your friends if they want to work with you and just start paying them a fair bit too. And so for me, I was not loaded, I had no experience, and I knew no one. So for me, the best thing I could have done was get a job so I could start getting in front of some people, so I could start making some money while learning at the same time too. And then the next summer after that first job, which I got the job in grade 10, or the summer of grade 10, and then the next summer, which was the summer of grade 11, is when I started the business. And at this point, I had maybe 2K saved up. I had a fair bit of experience in leadership, I guess mainly from the work too, but also from watching a bunch of videos like this one. Well, this one doesn't go over leadership, but just watching educational videos. And I had a few friends that weren't morons, so they could work with me. So I went the more of the smaller business route. I started a service, I started selling, and then I asked my friends to come in, help me sell and help me fulfill the services, and yeah, we did pretty good that first summer. I've made so many videos on this, it's been on so many thumbnails and titles, but yeah, that first summer was nuts. We ended up making just a bit over 50 G's, and while splitting the pie, everyone got a fair amount of money out of it too. And kind of as like a bit of a challenge or actionable step, or just next step you can take to getting closer to it, is look at the guide, pause it, write it down if you want to screenshot it, see where you fit on that chart, and take the action to get closer to where you want to be. And figure out what you want to do, and then actually start taking the action and starting the thing, or going to find the work, or finding the people you need to get into the work. And then the hardest part of this, start. Because unless you start, unless you take the action to go out and get the thing, it's never going to work out. So please do that. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. I really do appreciate you for that. If you want to be around more like-minded people, hang around with more like-minded people, and talk with me as well, join the Discord server, our community. It's the first link in the description. Subscribe to the newsletter, which is essentially you get to read what I post on a week-to-week basis. It's usually like 3-minute reads. And also go ahead and check out issafire.com. All these things are linked in the description. That one, it essentially has a bunch of courses on there. They're all free, and they all help you out a lot more with making money. And yeah, again, I appreciate you. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.